Hello and welcome to Storytime. Here at Storytime, we read stories for parents and their children. In today's Storytime, we are talking about what you are doing with your time and your talent. Welcome to Storytime with Miss Dymond. I am Miss Dymond and I'm excited to be here with you today for today's episode. Today we are discussing the parable of the talents taken from Matthew 25 verses 14 through 30. Before we get started, a couple of quick announcements. If you would please just hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you will know when new Storytime videos are available. And if this blesses you, consider leaving a donation for our full-time efforts here at Storytime with Miss Dymond. There is further information regarding that in the description box below. All right, are you ready? Let's get started. The word for the day is talent, T-A-L-E-N-T, talent. And a talent is a natural skill or ability. It's what you do pretty well without trying very hard to do it. So I'm going to paraphrase the story of the talents or the parable of the talents. It's something we've all heard it before, and it goes something like this. There was a wealthy master who leaves to go away for a while, and he gives his slaves or his servants talents. He says, I'm going away. I'm going to entrust you with 5 talents. I'm going to entrust you with 2 talents, and I'm going to entrust you with 1 talent. I'll be back. The master goes away. And when he comes back, he looks to those same 3 servants. To the one he gave 5 talents, he says, Look, master, I've doubled what you gave me. Here's what you gave me plus 5 more. Okay, well done. He says to the second servant, asks him about what he did with his time and his talents. He said, See, master, you gave me 2 talents. Here are the 2 you gave me, and I have grown it to 2 more. And then there is the third. To the third one, he looks to the third servant, and the third servant said, Master, I know that you are a hard man, and you are always sowing where you don't reap, and you are gathering where you haven't laid down any work. So I said, let me go and bury this, so when you come back, I'll have it for you. Here's the 1 talent that you gave me. The master scolded him and called him a lazy, worthless servant, in so many words. He said, you know what? You could have at least put it in the bank so that I could receive a return with interest. And he said, since I'm such a hard man and I'm such a hard master to get along with, I'm going to take this from you and I'm going to give it to the one who has 5 talents because they know what to do with it. And not only that, I am banishing you outside. You are no longer allowed here because I don't want lazy servants in my household. And that's the story of the talents. Pretty succinct story there. So here's the spin on this story that I'd like to talk with you about today. First of all, there are no instructions that are given from the master. He doesn't tell them what to do with their talents. He doesn't tell them any instructions at all, or if they're even to do anything with it. He says, I'm going away. I'm going to leave this to you. I'm going to leave this to you, number 2, and I'm going to leave this to you, number 3. And he gives them different amounts. But it is understood that when you lord over something, when you take responsibility for something, when something is entrusted to you and it's in your care, then you are to do something with it. Certainly maintain it, that's a given, but if you can go above and beyond and make it even better, then that's definitely your job and your privilege to do so. And the first 2 did that. And I want to talk about here how we are all given different gifts and talents, and they can be as varied as there are people on the earth. Some people have emotional intelligence. They are very good when it comes to using their emotions perhaps to help others. They may have a high emotional IQ. They may have empathy, sympathy. These are the people who make great listeners. Um, and they comfort us. They're people that have great thinking and reasoning ability. They may have critical thinking skills and be able to solve some very tough problems or issues that require a lot of brain power and concentration. There are some people who have talents and gifts and abilities as simple as knowing how to clean and to organize. These are people you trust to care for your home or care for other things that we need to have clean and neat at all times so that they're ready to use for other people. Some are given many talents, some are given a few, but we all have something that we can take and utilize and grow and benefit for our own lives and even perhaps to bless others, depending on how we choose to use it. And I want to note that the third servant who had the least, he took his talent and he buried it outside. So he put no work into it, no effort. He simply buried it away and wanted to give that same thing back, that same talent back, when his master came home. And that is a situation of no progress. In this life, I've found, perhaps you found as well, that you are never really allowed to stand still. Growth happens whether you want it to or not. From the time we are born, we are always growing and developing. And if we're not growing and developing, we're actually regressing. That's the way life works. We hit a peak at some point, and then we begin to slowly but surely work toward the opposite of that, which is to death. So standing still is not an option. Everything that has life grows and goes through a cycle. So understanding that, think about the talents and gifts that we are blessed with. And just ask yourself during your quiet time or your contemplation time what you're doing with that talent. Should you sit still on your gifts and talents, you generally will find yourself in a downward cycle. You're not growing, you're not developing, perhaps you're being left behind, you're being passed over from your promotions at work. You may not find yourself being able to support yourself in the manner that you like. Maybe you start looking to other people to perhaps support yourself or find someone else to latch on to. And that generally is not a healthy thing to do. We want to be able to always grow and expand upon what we have. I think about this when I think about house cleaning. I try to do spring cleaning every year when it comes around the springtime. And I say, what is dead weight to me right now? What is it that I can get rid of? Let me go through my closet. There are always clothes I don't wear anymore, shoes that I don't wear. And I can say it has been hard for me because I'll say, oh, I can still fit that, or, that still works. But if it's no longer benefiting me, if it's old, if it's out of style, I need to clear some things out to allow fresh energy, to allow a fresh wardrobe to come in, because I don't want to be a pack rat, because when you try to add the new onto the old, oftentimes it just doesn't work. So we want to be in that mode of getting rid of stagnant energy and allowing what's good, what's fresh, and what's new to come to us. And that happens with work. That happens with being diligent about the time that we have and the talent that we have in developing that. How are we developing our gifts and our talents? This time of being sequestered at home, this time of lockdown, really gives you time to see what it is that you have that you may be able to develop within yourself. It's really a great time to look within and see what are the gifts and talents that are within me, that are within you, that may be lying dormant, that perhaps with a little bit of nourishing and planting or teaching and learning, you may be able to bless yourself and bless someone else in the meantime. Think about the new generation of YouTube millionaires who say, I don't need to go to university, or I don't need to necessarily go to school. I have a talent. I love to talk. I have the gift of gab. I love fashion. I can be an Instagram model. I can be a YouTube sensation. I can be a success. And I'm going to use that gift to build followers and become something of myself. And even for those of us who happen to be in an older generation, being able to take some time and do some very deep introspection and figure out what it is that I really love to do. What is my best gift and talent that I can share with someone else? How can I serve a group of people and be rewarded in return? One thing is for sure, at some point when we are no longer progressing, we begin to regress. And during that time of regress, we want to be able to look back and say, you know what? It was a full life that I've lived. I certainly utilized my talents. I took advantage of the time that I had. I did well with it. And now, when I look back at my life, I took my 2 talents and turned it into 4, or I took my 5 talents and turned it into 10. That's the parable of the talents. I hope you enjoyed that lesson, and I look forward to seeing you on another episode soon of Storytime with Miss Dymond. Remember to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. And thanks so much for joining me. Big virtual hug to everybody out there. See you next time. Bye-bye.